Some people are complaining about the sound. So I repeat, truth is rarely neutral. It is filtered by power, by interest, by perspective. Tonight we remove the filter. We'll question the assumption. Tonight we look at the world from a place that is not usually talked about, but rarely centered. This is the bold angle. We need to understand the impact of AIDS. It's not something that we overlook. No, AIDS is not something we overlook. AIDS impact on our society cannot be overlooked. But we need to also understand that AIDS creates architecture. It creates conditionality. Conditionalities. AIDS creates policy alignment requirements. It creates governance benchmark. The things that it creates, it also creates procurement stipulation. It creates procurement stipulation. Often the aid flows back to donor country contractors. You can't take that back. That's the way it happens. Trade. If you're doing trade without industrial strategy, it locks country into structural disadvantage. Africa needs to start operating from a point of leverage. I repeat, Africa needs to start operating from a point of leverage because trade with leverage, it actually builds bargaining power. You have a bargaining power when you have a leverage. And I tell you something, Africa, I repeat, Africa, I call on it like really our names depend on it. Africa should not negotiate for whatever reason. Africa should not negotiate from fragmentation. You may want to ask me why. Africa should not negotiate from fragmentation. Africa should not negotiate from fragmentation. It negotiating from a fragmentation, a point has a place it puts one. So Africa should not negotiate from fragmentation because it will make a return concentrate externally. Remember, you're trying to build something. One thing is sure, if Africa negotiate collectively, terms will improve. Terms will improve. The conversation must move from how much are we receiving. The conversation must move from how much are we receiving. It must move from how much are we receiving. It must move to how much are we retaining. What are we keeping? Because like it or not, ownership really matters. Ownership really matters. Equity matters. Equity matters. Local capacity matters. Ownership matters. Equity matters. Local capacity matters. Africa must negotiate not from need, but from value. What are you bringing to the table? And the good thing, Africa has so much to offer. Africa has so much to offer. What are we building? What system are we putting forth? Are we putting out? Because we have something to offer, we should stop. We should not get to the table of negotiation from a place of need, because we have several things of value we are to add. We can add. Now, we need to understand that Africa's strategy, okay, I say that again, and I'm going to say it again and again. Africa must negotiate collectively, because this would help our attempts to improve. The conversation must move from how much are we receiving It must move from how much are we receiving to what are we retaining. Because like it or not, I put this to you, like it or not, ownership really matters. I said it before, I'm going to repeat it again. Ownership really matters. Equity matters. Local capacity matters. Ownership matters. Equity matters. Local capacity matters. Africa must stop negotiating from a place of need, but a place of value, because we have so much to offer. Africa does have so much to offer. If you are sitting on a table, what is it you're offering? People want to know. And what you're bringing determines the terms of the agreement, determines how you are approached. These things are certain. Africa's strategy requires, first, for me, I say regional economic integration. Regional economic integration. It requires transparent governance. I know sometimes you think if the people you're governing know the extent to which there are a bit of crisis, they might panic. But transparency have a way, it will integrate, make people become part of the system, make them know that they are part of what is going on and find ways to improve or make it better. Now, you operating a transparent governance does not make you weak. If at all anything, it strengthens the divides. It's not divide. It strengthens the community. It strengthens the nation. It strengthens your board, because everybody knows what's at stake. So I said our strategy requires regional economic integration, transparent governance. You can't take that away. Domestic revenue mobilization. Domestic revenue mobilization. We need to start tapping into those resources that is ours. Industrial policy discipline. Whatever you're doing, if you're not disciplined enough, will fall apart. Industrial policy discipline and leadership willing to think long term. As Africans, we must begin to stand with leaders who are looking out for the collective growth of Africa. We must look out for leaders who are looking out for the collective growth of Africa, not people, not sycophants, for lack of a better word, who just settle for what will satisfy their immediate stomach, what will satisfy their immediate need, who are settled for what is in the now. Persons who are deliberate, persons who are intentional about building, persons who are intentional, I repeat, persons who are intentional about building Africa, building the systems they have found. I know this goes beyond Africa. A woman whose mind is set on building beyond the now. The point, leverage. Leverage unused is leverage surrendered. If you don't use what you have, then you don't have anything. Leverage unused is leverage surrendered. Again, we need to stop acting like we are the less privileged, stop playing victims and arise to the occasion, because that's what it calls for. There are so many things happening around the world, yes. Some things can be denied, yes. But we need to come to terms with who we are. We need to stop playing pity parties to people who are sycophants. I have actually said, for lack of better word. We need to start thinking Africa. We need to rethink Africa. We need to rethink who we are. We need to understand where we are standing. We need to know where we're operating from. You're not a victim. Was Africa victimized? Yes. And if you check around, it's possible everybody has been victimized in one way or the other. But not staying stuck in it, but rising from whatever it is that has made you, that has shortchanged you to create a better balance. You need a better balance. you don't negotiate. You don't look at things from a place of, oh, what if this happens? What if it doesn't happen? It doesn't matter where the leader is coming from. Africa, we must arise. We must arise. We must arise. We must arise. Yes. Is there a need to unite? Yes. However, in our different ways of trying to build a better tomorrow, not just for the now, for the future generation. Once upon a time, I was a crowd. I was a child. I was a toddler. I'm still a child. It depends on whose eyes you're asking that question from. Yes. Every single person is still a child, depending on the eyes you're asking the question from. But let's not deviate. Once upon a time, you listening to me was once a toddler. If you can comprehend what I'm saying vividly, then I can beat my chest and say once upon a time you were once a toddler. Nobody was born an adult. No, you grow into it. You grew into it. You grew into adulthood. Yes, we have different ways we are trying to get this nations better, this continent, our society better, make it better, put it to a put in a better light. Well, let's have a common goal. Let's have a common goal. Again, we don't borrow perspective. We stand in it. Leverage unused is leverage surrendered. It doesn't matter what it is you have. It doesn't matter what it is you own. If you don't use it well, if you don't convert it as a value system to the society, then you've surrendered what it is that you have. And if you're not very careful, you become caged in the very system that you're supposed to wrap around your arms. I'm trying to find a perfect way to describe these systems. I'll stop here. Because I believe our ears are sharp to listen, are sharp to hear, and our hands are quick to put into action. Arise from whence you stand. Arise from whence you've fallen. You can soar. You can soar. Again, leverage unused is leverage surrendered. We don't borrow perspective. We stand in it. I'm Chioma Lina, and this has been an ease. The Bold and Go with Chioma Lina. You are back. And until next time, remain focused. Because you're not, you end small.